do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right, but I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who can move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson's going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, that hit. Remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pips, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust up, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun as the chaos continues right now at Dodger Stadium. Dodger fans, absolutely electric. Teoscar Hernandez has just gone deep this evening, and we give you another home run prop gut feel. And I got to find the tweet because this just happened, but I posted this earlier this morning. And I said, the exact tweet was, I have a feeling that Teoscar Hernandez steps up with a big hit tonight. And I was talking about how we called Will Smith the other night. Boom. Teoscar Hernandez, plus 450, home run. But even more importantly, so it gives the Los Angeles Dodgers a little bit of insurance. They're up 2-0 right now at the bottom of the 7th inning. There are 2 out. And there's a pitching change coming up, 2-0 Dodgers. New number right now, Dodgers 12-1. You could argue you're getting value with San Diego at plus 700. The Dodgers bullpen has been straight smoke and fire over the last couple of games. Kiki Hernandez hit the home run earlier in the 2nd inning, and that's all that there was. I didn't think this game was going to be a pitcher's duel. I'll tell you that. We did think that Teoscar Hernandez was going to step up with a big hit, but I didn't think it was going to be a pitcher's duel tonight, and it has. Yu Darvish was awesome. Yamamoto went 5 innings of scoreless baseball tonight. The series has been absolutely lit, and I don't think the drama is done yet. San Diego are not done yet. If you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, it'd be a great time to add a couple of more runs on the board as the New York Mets await the winner. Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, one way or the other. They're either in San Diego or they're in Los Angeles. Absolutely electric scene as Hernandez goes deep. This guy's been unbelievable for the Dodgers this year. We saw the grand slam the other night in the playoffs, but he stepped up big time. You know, people like the Dodgers had 17 starting pitchers this year. All right, 17. Put it at 17. Okay, it's not normal. Everybody was out. Like Ohtani was like the only one that wasn't really hurt like ever for a prolonged period of time. Right, like Mookie Betts was out for like 6 weeks or whatever, even longer. Like Mookie Betts was out for a couple of months, or one injury after another. Teoscar Hernandez was like pretty consistent and steady for the Dodgers in the regular season, and even more importantly, so Teoscar Hernandez was very good with like young players and like teaching them about the big leagues and how to be a big leaguer. Like Mookie Betts is kind of a quiet dude. Ohtani doesn't really speak English very much, right? But Teoscar Hernandez, especially the Hispanic-speaking players, that Teoscar's like takes them under their wing and he's really helped them when they're in slumps, and he takes them out to dinner and talks to them about their the ups and downs of being a baseball player. So he's been a real leader. He's a free agent too. He only signed a 1-year deal. He's a free agent. Dodgers need to re-sign him. I've been saying this forever. All right, so it's 2-0 for the Dodgers right now. Bottom of the 7th inning. My boy Will Smith is up at the box right now. We got college football. So let's get to the picks. Listen, UNLV are routing Utah State right now. In-game total is 82.5. We didn't lay the points in this game. I thought UNLV were going to roll them, but I didn't really want to lay 19 on the road. It's freaking 38.5 right now in-game. We did bet the over the game, over 67. So it's 82.5. It's 31-7 right now, and there's still a hell of a lot of time left. There's still like 10 minutes left in this game. Will Smith with a single. There's still like 10 minutes left in the second quarter of this game in the first half. Meanwhile, Northwestern are beating Maryland right now. Not shocking. I didn't think the Terps should be 10.5-point favorites in this game, but I am surprised that Northwestern are the ones winning by 10 right now. 17-7. We only ended up betting the over of this game, 45. It's currently 44.5. It's sort of right on the number right now. We're early in the third quarter of play, so there's a lot of football left there for us to get to the number. The Bad Moon Rising, Cam Rising, supposed to play. He's on the field warming up. Oh, Will Smith steals the base, and he's safe. I love the aggression. How many catchers can steal second base? Good job. Good job, Will. Very athletic player for a catcher. So Will Smith now on second base, but there are 2 outs. It'd be big if they could drive him in here. Dodgers 2 runs have come via the home run. So we've got the Arizona State Sun Devils. Man, you got Arizona Wildcats, Sun Devils. There's all these teams floating into my head here. And Arizona were the ones that beat Utah last time out. So it's interesting. They're both in the Big 12 now, but they're Pac-12 rivals, right? Like they play it all the time. And Utah usually destroy Arizona State. They have 4 straight games. They've beaten them. They play every year. So they've beaten them the last 4 years, and they've beaten them by double digits, and like they've murdered them kind of like every time. There's been like big routes in these games. But with all that being stated, that was then. This is now. And I don't know. We'll see. History could repeat itself. I'm taking ASU plus the 6 points in this game. We didn't play the total. Normally I have a million football picks, but I'm really focused on the Dodger game. We got action on every football game too, but we're really dialed in on this Dodger game as well. But Arizona State, man, this team, 4-1 straight up, and they haven't played cupcakes, this team. I took notice when they beat Mississippi State early in the season. It's like, all right, Mississippi State aren't a great SEC team, but they are an SEC team, and Arizona State, beat them down. They took the pedal off the metal, and Mississippi State put up some late points, but they beat the Kansas Jayhawks, right? If you look at, the schedule, the teams that Arizona State have beaten, they've beaten real teams. Their only loss was at Texas Tech, and there's no shame in that. Now they're back home getting 6 points, so it could be a trap because of the history that, you know what, Utah always just beat these guys and forget about what Arizona State did against everybody else. Or we continue to ride the trend with the hot Sun Devils team. The coach, Terry Bowden, will step up and then we'll get his take on this football game and all the other big football games that are going on this weekend, including Texas and Oklahoma, the Red River shootout. Some call it rivalry now, but we don't have to. All right, we're under no orders. We're under no orders to call it the Red River rivalry. It's kind of lame, isn't it? Red River shootout, baby. Speaking of which, I don't know if Oklahoma has the ammunition to trade bullets in a shootout with the Texas Longhorns. This Texas team is the real deal. They're going to be a tough team to beat, in the big picture as far as the national championship is concerned. But there's a lot of football to be played, and that's the beautiful thing about college football. Every Saturday matters, not quite as much as it used to because of the 12-team playoff, but it still does. You know what I mean? It still does. Every Saturday's lit in college football. Big-time game there. We've got USC and Penn State going head-to-head as well. And there's been a big trend, guys, of these teams that are playing in the new conferences or, the conference realignment of teams that have traveled. Look at the Washington Huskies. The Washington Huskies went to Piscataway, New Jersey. They've never been to New Jersey, let alone Piscataway. Hell, I lived in New Jersey. I lived in New York, and Piscataway took me 2.5 hours to get there, okay? So it's not easy. It's a random, weird place. Washington goes there and loses. You see the Michigan Wolverines fly 2,500 miles or whatever it is to Seattle. What happens? They lose. USC Trojans, they go to Minnesota. What happens? They lose. The Miami Hurricanes go all the way out to California to play their conference rival, Cal Golden Bears. They won the game, barely, right? They didn't cover the point spread. They barely won. So I'm interested to see if the Penn State Nittany Lions can avoid that sort of trap, as Penn State are going to Los Angeles to take on the USC Trojans. And as Coach Terry Bowden is going to join us in a couple of minutes, knows they'll turn on you fast when you're a coach. After that big LSU win earlier in the year, everything was fine and dandy once again in Los Angeles with Lincoln Riley. There was, they sort of had a moral victory after the Michigan game. Yeah, we lost, but we played well in our first Big Ten game going on the road in the Big House. Yeah, there was no moral victory after they lost to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Suddenly the heat is on, and I can't wait for the coach's opinion on how quickly things can change in Tuscaloosa as well. With Kalen DeBoer, 1 week you beat Georgia, the next week you lose to Vanderbilt. And I get the feeling Sarkisian is just doing a great job of keeping his team on upset alert. We got a lot of stuff to break down. Let's do this thing. Bring it.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long-term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last, regardless of whatever they do this week, another week because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back after the bye. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already past that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, that's what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or that you have to retire, due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another day, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
Let's do this thing. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency on the SportsGrid radio and television network. Shout out to all of our television affiliates, networks, apps, smart TVs, and everybody else in between. And, of course, everybody tuning in on Sirius XM Channel 159. Let's blitz the quarterback right now. It's time for the Bowden Blitz, our weekly segment with the coach. I always look forward to this immensely. Coach Terry Bowden, former Coach of the Year, joins us. Coach, it's always a pleasure, my man. How you doing tonight?
Yes, it's great. It's unusual. We're getting great football games late on Friday night now.
I love it. It's so crazy, isn't it? We all sort of, in the college football world, we're sad. Oh, No more Pac-12 after dark. Now we have Big Ten after dark and ACC after dark. These teams are playing at 1 in the morning, and I love it. I love it, Coach. We got a game starting tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern time, Utah and Arizona State. And I brought it up off the top of the program, Coach. Very impressed. Like, I'll ask you about another team I think no one's talking about. It's one of the biggest surprises. But ASU, nobody thought they were going to be 4-1, Coach. And they haven't played cupcakes. They beat Mississippi State. They beat Kansas. Their only loss on the season was on the road against Texas Tech. Very impressive start for the Sun Devils this year.
Yeah, Kenny Dillingham, the new coach, is doing an incredible job. They were 3-9 last year. He's got 4 wins already, and they've scored 30 or more points in 4 of their 5 games. And he's got an exciting football team. They're more run than pass, but they do a great job. And this is going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to it. Utah preseason, we kind of had them pegged maybe as the conference champion, but I like this Arizona State team.
Yeah, so let me ask you about that, Coach, because Utah coming off a disappointing loss when they lost to Arizona, which is surprising. On their home field, they got drilled. It was like 23-10, and they were never really in the football game. It was a convincing win for the Wildcats. There's something off about this Utah team this year. Is it that the weekly question about the quarterback, Coach, how much does that take on practice during the week when you're never really sure who the quarterback is going to be every week?
Without a doubt. And I was a head coach 28 years in college. When I had a quarterback problem, I mean, the lineman felt it, the offensive lineman felt it, the team feels it, the receivers feel it. When you don't know who's going to start, you don't know which way they're going, because every quarterback's a little different. And they've been playing this game at Utah. I say playing the game. Cam Rising has been hurt. And he has been hurt. But I expect him to play tonight. But it has made it uncomfortable. But Utah, other than the blowout loss at BYU, they're still where they want to be. And I think if Cam Rising starts tonight, I think they will win this game. I really like Arizona State, but I think Utah's going to win the game.
And Coach, we're coming off a week last week in which 5 teams in the top 11 lost, first time ever. In Miami, and it was nearly 6. Just a crazy season, and it's sort of starting now. And I ask you this because a lot of times, Coach, this is the time of year. You would know better than anyone, right? You've been in the game forever. A lot of teams, you're 4-1, okay, you're 5-0, but once you get to the meat of the order, you start traveling a bit mid-season. This is when you start separating the pretenders and contenders, don't you? And like a team like the Pittsburgh Panthers, Coach, they're 5-0. Nobody's talking about this team.
Hey,
nobody.
They haven't been 5-0 since 1992, and they haven't been 6-0 since 82. And I know I was at Florida State as a graduate assistant. We played them in 82. Jackie Sherrill, the head coach. They haven't been 6-0 since 1982. Nobody's talking about this quarterback, probably rookie of the year in the ACC, but I'm excited for Pittsburgh, too. Although I'm a Mountaineer, I went to West Virginia, backyard. Yeah. That's the other team, but they beat West Virginia as well already.
And I didn't want to throw, just bring up this game out of the blue, but, I'm just impressed with Pittsburgh doing it. Speaking of these tough road trips, you got Cal coming off the emotional, gut-wrenching loss to Miami, rolling in a pit here. I'm expecting the Panthers to win this football game tomorrow, Coach.
Oh, I think the Panthers will win the game. There's so much on this game. There's so much momentum going in Pittsburgh and around that campus and around these players. They're sensing they've got something special going on. So you're going to see a great Pittsburgh team tomorrow. And again, they've got a quarterback that can throw that pill now. He can throw that football.
Coach, do you think the Red River shootout turns into a one-sided shootout tomorrow? I just don't know if the Oklahoma Sooners have the ammunition to keep up with the Texas Longhairs here.
You got it right. They don't have the ammunition, but they have a very good defensive coordinator, Zach Alley. He was my defensive coordinator 3 years ago. He's since moved up, but they do a great job of playing a bettable defense, and they'll play good defense. What they're going to do is run the football, try to run it, and then play good defense and keep it as close as possible. But Texas has got too many weapons on offense. We hear Quinn Ewers is going to be back and starting this game. That makes it even worse for them. So I do expect Texas to lead and to win the game and cover. But I tell you, it's going to be hard for them to be. I bet the under on this game.
Coach Terry Bowden joining us. So, Coach, the game of the week that a lot of people have been talking about and have had circled all year, such a massive impact in the Big Ten Saturday night with OSU going to Eugene to take on the Ducks. And the Ducks beat them a couple of years ago in Columbus. So, it's not the same team at all, but, it wasn't that long ago that they actually played and they won in Columbus. But Dan Lanning, I would want your take on Coach Lanning. I think he's an awesome young coach. Did a great job with the defense with Georgia. He's done an excellent job with this program here, but at the same point in time, doesn't have a signature win, Coach. Right? He lost both games to Washington last year. They got smoked against Georgia when they played them. No shame in that. It was early, but you hear where I'm going with this. It's time for Lanning and the Ducks to win a big game, isn't it, Coach? And you got OSU rolling in here. What's your take on this one?
They need to win this big game. They got out to a slow start, won some close games, but they're playing better. And their quarterback's an outstanding quarterback, Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel. He's one of my favorites. I'm a Cam Ward guy down in Miami, but Dillon Gabriel's got all that he can run and throw, powerful runner. I like Oregon, but they're playing, to me, the most talented team in the country. Ohio State has no weaknesses. They've checked every box offensively and defensively. They also haven't played anybody, and we don't really have a good feeling of how good they are. But I think when we see this game, as good as Oregon is, I think Oregon is getting back on the good side of how good they can be. I just think when you look at Ohio State, when their athletes are out there at every position on both sides of the ball, Oregon's not going to keep up with them. But you know what? I think both teams are going to score points, and I would bet the over on this one.
And, Coach, you got Travion Henderson. They bring in Junkins from Mississippi, another monster wide receiver, and this Smith kid right now. So their offense is scary, but people don't, as you mentioned, their defense is nasty. Some people think that might be the best defense in football.
Well, I think talent-wise, there's more NFL draftable players, according to Reed, more draftable NFL players. Ohio State.
But they haven't played anyone yet, so let's see tomorrow. All right, more with Coach.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long-term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last, regardless of whatever they do this week, another week because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss, as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back after the bye. So do I. But keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already passed that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, that's what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or that you have to retire. Due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another day, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. We're breaking it down with the coach, Terry Bowden. Check him out right here on various programs on the grid, the Bowden Blitz. Coach, with the Buckeyes and the Ducks, we were talking about, Lanning needing to sort of get a big-time win. Ryan Day kind of needs a championship. That's a team championship or bust. $20 million invested in NIL for the players. A lot of teams have had a hard time crossing the country. When it's all said and done, is Ohio State's talent just going to be too much for the Ducks here?
I think at the end of the day, it will. They have done so much. They sent over $20 million in NILs. They have loaded their team up. As I look at their roster, it's incredible. They have great depth. We're talking about people backing up other people that are NFL caliber football players. But Texas, I think that Ohio State has too much. But Oregon, I think, again, they also loaded up with NIL players. I think we got a great football game. I think there's going to be still an offensive performance. We have an offensive show, but I think Texas takes too many weapons out there for Oregon to win this football game.
Coach, we sort of have a loser leaves town match. I know with 12 teams, and there's talk about maybe some three lost teams that get in. I don't think so. It's going to be 2 lost teams, but the loser of Ole Miss and LSU is going to have 2 losses here. The Magnolia Bowl, Coach. What's it like? We hear the cliche all the time. Oh, man, it's hard to play in Death Valley on a Saturday night. What's it like playing in Death Valley on a Saturday night compared to the afternoon, Coach?
I've coached there 7 times, and almost all 7 were at night. It's the hardest place to play in America. They have 100,000 people. They've got an unopened, closed stadium where the noise never gets out, and their fans been drinking all day. You're talking about Cajuns now. They are crazy. I've lost ball games because we could not hear there. It truly is. And then this is the 100th year anniversary of the Death Valley Stadium. And so they put millions of dollars into new jumbotrons and strobe lights and all kinds of sound. It's going to be wild. It's going to be Super Bowl halftime at that game. And I really do feel that this game will lean toward LSU because of that atmosphere, because I think both teams are very close. Ole Miss has the ability to score points, and LSU has got to win a big one. But I think that home field is an advantage. You take the head coach, Brian Kelly. He has not lost a night game in 2 years there. He's 12-0. It's a hard place to go into, and I know that by experience.
And Coach Kelly's very good off a bye as well, or at least with extended rest coming into this spot.
Yeah, exactly right. And what happens, too, they're rested and they're healthy. And you look at Ole Miss, I mean, the receiver, Trey Harris, is possibly hurt and not playing. They're banged up. They've had a couple of real tough games. So they come in here kind of limping into the game, although they will be excited. It will be a big – they come in limping, and I think LSU's a little healthier. And I see them because of that, along with the home field advantage. It's just a lot of those things are going in LSU's favor.
Coach, we're still midseason right now, so we can't lock anybody in for the Heisman. I know you're a big Cam Ward fan. Travis Hunter doing special things. But you and I have our eye on Ashton Genty and Boise State. I don't like it. I said on the show earlier this week, I'm not saying he's Barry Sanders, but when you watch him play, he kind of reminds you of Barry Sanders. Who does he remind you of? Like, I think Thurman Thomas, Barry Sanders, sort of old school guys. Who does he remind you of, Coach?
I compare everybody to Barry Sanders, who he made athletes look unathletic in the NFL. But this kid, probably a little more Thurman. I'm about to say Thurman Munson, a little bit more
Thurman Thomas.
Thurman Thomas, I think,
or even a little Saquon Barkley-ish, right? For a modern guy, he's got a little Saquon, right?
I've watched his highlights. Not just watching the game. I've watched every run that he's made. He's a phenomenal football player. And if the Heisman was really about the best guy in the country, he might have a better chance. But it's usually about the best quarterback in the country. But Travis Hunter, both ways, the way he's playing, I think he's in the hunt too as well. Cam Ward and Travis Hunter are 1 and 2. But there's so many big games left. You take a quarterback that takes his team undefeated or takes his team to the championship, all of a sudden their stock goes up. And there are a bunch of quarterbacks out there that they've got one loss and they can still take their team to the championship.
Coach, last week, Jalen Milroe was the favorite to win the Heisman. Lose to Vanderbilt, suddenly he's not anymore. We got about 30 seconds. How shocked were you that Vanderbilt beat Bama?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I've coached in that SEC, and that was my rival, Alabama, and I played against Vanderbilt. Unbelievable. And DeBoer goes from Coach of the Year in Alabama people's minds to the worst thing that could ever happen and won't be forgotten. So that's the way it goes in Alabama. It's almost as much about the coach as it is about the players.
I'm sure that's the one part you don't miss, right? About coaching.
Yeah, we had a tough time.
We'll love you every week here, Coach, on SportsGrid. It won't be love-hate. We love you every week.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last, regardless of whatever they do this week, another week, because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss, as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back into the line. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already passed that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, that's what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or that you have to retire, due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another day, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Thanks to the coach, former coach of the year, Terry Bowden, who joins me every Friday night at 10:14 Eastern time to talk college football. Bowden Blitz. Great stuff with the coach as always. But we've got our eye on this baseball game, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 2 outs away from advancing to the National League Championship Series. The bullpen has done a great job, but there's still 2 outs to give right now. If you're feeling a San Diego comeback, plus 1,700, 17-1 right now. San Diego down to their final 2 outs of this series. Dramatic stuff at Chavez Ravine tonight. I've never really heard Dodger Stadium this loud before. Modern Dodger fan is louder than old school Dodger fan, right? With all due respect to Mary Hart and Larry King, there's more of it's a younger sort of like angrier crowd that expects to win in the building. Bringing Cam Stewart. What's up, Cam? I'm just saying, like, there used to be a lot of, like,
great line.
Yeah, there used to be more celebs there and just sort of, I mean, now it's like, no, like, they're throwing baseballs at Profar in the outfield now. Like, the Dodgers fans are crazy now.
Brad Pitt's bringing down the excitement, too. He's got the hood on, kind of, okay, go Dodgers. Like, we need some more rowdy guys. But, Gabe, I got to tell you, this bullpen with the Dodgers, too, with Kopech, who they picked up, this guy was an absolute stud when he came into the league, and then he had some problems with the White Sox injuries. But your Dodger bullpen has been fantastic. And, hey, a couple outs to go, but let's give this team credit. And Teoscar Hernandez, when he hit that bomb, I'm like, this guy used to be a Blue Jay. Wish he was still there.
Yeah, you know what? I want to find my exact tweet. I tweeted a million tweets today about this game. I've been excited. I've been excited all day. All right. Oh, here it is. I found the tweet. So this was from me 4 hours ago. Dodgers need a wild card to step up. The other night I called Will Smith home run. My gut tells me tonight Teoscar Hernandez comes through with a big hit tonight. How's that for a prediction, Cam?
Well, I could really use that kazoo on my shoulder for.
Oh, and by the way, I took him at plus 450 to hit a home run.
Amazing. Yeah. No, it's been.
And I hit Will Smith plus 500 the other night to hit a home run. I've been dialed in, like, with the feel of just sort of which Dodger is going to step up tonight. Although I didn't, Kiki Hernandez was a pleasant surprise early. Kiki Hernandez is he's a good big game player. He's played in solid. He's won championships. He's played in big games before. So he stepped up, but oh boy, like I said, San Diego not going away, but the ball is caught deep to right field. The Dodgers are 1 out away. Shout out to Johnny Kicknuts, who's in Dodger Stadium tuning in right now. Sniper, our boy Sniper Picks was at the game the other night. I'm jealous. Wow. I was thinking if they win, they play Sunday and Monday. I promised and I said to myself, I'm only going to go if they play in the World Series. I'm going to go to the World Series. So I'm kind of torn here. I can't be everywhere at once, but all right, here we go. Oh, hey. Suck it, San Diego. LA wins.
Well, there go my futures, but I'm on the Argos tonight. Go Argos. Great call, man.
Oh, hey, this Dodgers are done. Now we're a scary team with his bullpen, Cam. I wouldn't wear a scary team.
You're right. Clutch hitting, wicked bullpen. They figured it out. They got a lot of really good arms that are coming together right now. And you got Ohtani. You talked about it. Kike Hernandez, he always shows up in big games. Freeman will get healthier now. There's a lot of problems. But the Miracle Mets, what a great series, buddy. This is why I love the baseball playoffs. Great storylines. New York versus LA. It's a dream for the networks, baby.
Wow. Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. It moves on just like that. All right. We're losing the green room. In the green room getting ready, but from what I understand, Lou's ready to go. But the Los Angeles Dodgers, you know what's crazy? I played the Dodgers to win the series before the series started at minus 140. I could have saved my $500 future bet and just bet it tonight because they were minus 140 favorites tonight in the final game. So we just sort of went full circle here. But the Dodgers now get the Mets on Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. The Mets are on their way to SoCal as we speak right now. I think they're just, they're waiting to find out. They're leaving tonight, and we'll get you the updated number here. Let's bring in Lou right now, Gamblu. No playoff baseball in the desert for you, Lou, and I'm not sorry about it right now, but we love you. How you doing, Lou?
I'm doing great, guys.
Got those D-backs.
Shed no tears for us. We were there last year, and nobody even sensed that we should be. And our team has overachieved. We've got a good manager. We'll be back. Baseball this October has been highly enjoyable. How typical would it be for the year that the Dodgers kind of underachieved with season totals all through the regular season, but now in the postseason? How typical would it be that they come and win the whole thing? It wouldn't surprise me. I sense some mojo in the Mets. I sense a little mojo in Detroit, though I think Cleveland could pop that balloon tomorrow. But baseball's great, guys.
It's reminded me, Lou, and you're a big college baseball World Series guy, and it sort of has the feel. Like the opening, the early playoffs here in baseball really had that, every game's a one-run game. Anything can happen. Underdogs can win. There was, games at once going on right after another. This, to me, Lou, this has been the best baseball playoffs in recent memory, in my opinion. Like all across the board, as far as one-run games, 5-game series is, drama, good baseball, right? To me, I don't know if you disagree or agree here, but and I'm a big baseball fan. I've watched every playoff since 1976. This has been really good stuff so far this year. We're not even into the championship series yet.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And what makes it even better is the flavor of the teams that are in there. Here's Kansas City, here's Detroit.
Big markets, small markets. Yeah, everybody.
Yes, exactly. Underdogs.
Who are you taking tomorrow, Lou? Cleveland or Detroit? Real tough game. Scooble's on the hill. The total is 6. Even though it's 6, I still think it goes under. It's going to be bad weather in Cleveland tomorrow. That's why they moved the game up. Tough game. This is the one series I've been wrong in. I've been doing really well in baseball, but, I picked the Tigers, they lose. I picked the Guardians, they lose. I go, I've been zigging and zagging. I'm like Harvey Keitel and Bad Lieutenant in this series. I've been wrong 3 out of 4 games, I think, but I've been right with the totals. So I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'll just bet the under again. But what's your quick pick for that, Lou? Just your gut feel, even if you're not betting big on it.
I think his mic's off.
All right, we'll get Lou's audio back. What's going on in the desert? It seems like there's like some Halloween hexes and curses going on.
Yeah. Somebody's attacking the lines, Gabe. I got to tell you, though, Gabe, it's an interesting game with Cleveland and Detroit, but Scooble's available, and you see what he's done in that series. And I think Detroit's a really feisty team, but Cleveland, when Ramirez comes through and hits that bomb, and Cleveland's bullpen is amazing, too. So should be a real tight one. Great game. I got the Tigers in the series, so that's what I'm going to do. But, hey, it's anybody's ball game. That's a pick 'em to me. You can flip a coin. Very, very tight.
No, of course, yeah, it's going to be. It is early runs. Home, I can't say that home field will really matter. I know the Dodgers won tonight, but home field doesn't really matter in baseball in these elimination games. But tonight's performance for the Dodgers, unbelievable stuff from Yamamoto. This is why they paid Yamamoto $325 million, right? He got paid big money. And he stepped up big time with their backs against the wall tonight when they needed a pitching performance. And Yu Darvish was awesome for San Diego as well. So the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Mets, the series starts Sunday night. And FanDuel has already posted a number for the series. The Los Angeles Dodgers, minus 178 favorites in the series. Over the New York Mets. The Mets are plus 150. The over-under in the series is 5.5 games. Of course, now we get in a 7-game series. So the total is 5.5 games in this series. Listen, the Dodgers are a great team. They're only laying 40 cents against San Diego. I don't think they should be this big of favorites against the Mets.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long-term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last, regardless of whatever they do this week, another week because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back after the bye. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already passed that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or that you have to retire. Due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another day, and then they have off next week. And you look at the rankings. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. The Los Angeles Dodgers have advanced, and I can't wait to get online a little bit later on after the show and post some tweets. Well, I was keeping receipts of people talking about, like, Dodgers done, Dodgers suck, Dave Roberts blows, a lot of pro San Diego stuff.
Morency's got his vengeance book, Lou. This guy said this guy said that, and then
well, no. For me, it's not really the fans. I got no beef with the fans, even though I think they're kind of petty. Like they're, all that beat LA stuff. Like you think LA doesn't say beat San Diego. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just, to me, that whole thing, it's kind of like, it's like little brother, big brother type thing. But they were just jerks. They're throwing drinks at people. They're talking smack. They post stuff on the scoreboard mocking Kershaw. Machado throws a ball at Dave Roberts. Profar gets into it with the fans. And then they banned Ken Rosenthal because they didn't like words, the column that he wrote about them in the playoffs here, so they wouldn't do the interviews with him. And it's funny because San Diego's players called the Dodgers too sensitive, that they got mad that Machado threw a ball at their dugout. And so they're the ones too sensitive to deal with Ken Rosenthal. So you guys can watch on TV right now with the rest of everybody. I'm glad that San Diego are done. Bunch of loudmouth jerks. But we got Gamblu in the house. All right, so I just had to get that off my chest.
I hope you feel better.
Thank you, I do. There's more to come later. That was just the opening little.
That's the
Loudmouth
appetizer, Lou.
jerks
There's
wasn't my first choice of words.
No,
I
you
was
got
like,
some
wow.
other stuff. That was the PG version, Lou. That's going to get,
Yeah,
get stupider
That's
later.
right.
Trust me.
That's right. That's the doctor's version.
Loudmouth jerks. That's pretty safe. Like,
that's
loudmouth
like
jerks.
Simpsons. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
But all kidding aside, man, this could be some pretty epic stuff. Dodgers match is just going to be awesome. And like I said about the line, guys, Dodgers minus 178. And the way this Met team never say die, Lindor's a stud. Like, you can talk about Ohtani and the guys the Dodgers have. No one's playing better baseball than Lindor. This guy's put him on his back. Alonso stepping up with big hits. Their bullpen has stepped up. So I don't take it personal if anybody says, you know what, they're taking the Mets at plus 150 in this series, Lou.
But yeah, do you not agree though, Lou, that the Dodgers bullpen it's so superior to the Mets? That's why the price is high, Gabe. Like the way they're clicking now, they're way better.
I think that's where it is. That said, there is some question on that Dodgers starting pitching. I just don't know. I don't know that that's where the Mets want to try and attack them the best. I can tell you that earlier in the baseball playoffs, every time I watched the Tigers and every time I watched the Mets, I felt electricity. And so early on, I took them in parlays to play each other in the World Series. So I'm a little bit tied to a recreational gamble that I have with those two. Other than that, I've been betting a little game by game. I really like betting first fives, but not overly active in the playoff baseball, though I love it because there's fights going on. There's NFL.
What about the NHL, Lou? You're more of a playoff future guy, I know, historically over the years. But with that being stated, NHL season started this week. Have you dropped the puck at all yourself? Did you bet any hockey, or what are your thoughts on the hockey coming into the year as the season starts?
Honestly, Gabriel, I don't even look at it until we get to January 1 and football kind of dies down. I like to get the first few months out of the way, let them get some games done, and I'll pick it up.
I bet all 8 games last night.
Yeah, me too.
I'll pick it up at the first of the year.
I didn't bet.
I actually did.
About
I
5
bet the Sharks Blues game. I got problems, Lou. Big problems.
Hey, listen, you know what? Variety's the spice of life, guys. You gotta try a little of everything. Find out what you really like.
All right. So speaking of the NFL, Chicago Bears. I'll ask you about the Bears first here, Lou. They're playing in London, and I've had a pretty good read on this team. The Bears have won, 8 straight home games now? 8 or 9? 8? I think it's 8.
Yep.
Like going back to last year, they're a good home team. The first earlier games that they won, their defense found a way, right? And in the first game against the Titans, special teams, blah, blah. Then against the Rams, wasn't pretty offensively. Then last week it set up well for Caleb to have his first sort of, big first stat game against the Panthers. But they're not a very good road team, the Bears, and I don't think the Jags guys were as bad as their 0-4 record. And if there's a team that's used to playing in London, it's the Jags. They've won 3 of the last 4 times they played in London. They're 6-5 overall in London. I kind of think it's a bad spot for the Bears and a good spot for the Jags this week, Lou. I just bring that up because that's the first game, and I was just thinking about that game before the show started as well. I did a video about it. What catches your eye this week in the NFL?
Well, I'm glad you led in with that game because I thought you were going to talk at Chicago up. I actually agree with you on the Jacksonville side. They're going to be there for the next few weeks. It's surely way closer to a home game for Jacksonville than it is to Chicago. To call it a home game for Chicago is a farce. And Chicago, this is the second rookie quarterback that Jacksonville will play in a row. I don't think Jacksonville's as terrible as their record says. And I still think that the Bears, with a rookie quarterback and a new coaching regime, are still finding themselves. They're not as good as they looked last week, and I don't think Jacksonville's as bad as people expect. And for that reason, rather than piddle with 2 points or play with a teaser, I'm a Jacksonville money line. Plus, it was plus 115 on Monday, Tuesday when I released it, and I don't know where it is right now, but Jacksonville money line's the way that I would approach this. Just win the game and get out of there.
Who are you taking, Cam? The Jags or the Bears?
Three's a crowd. I love Jacksonville at this spot. Lawrence played well last week. He started to get into the rhythm. The Bears lose right. Like, their stock, I look at them. It's an overpriced stock. They're a good team. They're getting better. But Jacksonville, think about that division too, Gabe, how weak it is. They win this game, they're right back in the mix. It's a huge game for the Jaguars. I'm with Lou. I'll take the points and money line.
Lou, are you looking to pick, you talked about rookie quarterbacks. Are you someone that likes to, because we have two guys making their first starts, right? Drake May's making his first start this week, 7 points. And I was ready to take a look at the Patriots, actually, until Stevenson's been announced out of this game, right? Because you can run the ball, right? The Houston Texans have a hard time stopping the run. So I figured the Patriots would be run heavy. You know, it wouldn't really be on Drake May's shoulders, but without Stevenson, and then you got Spencer Rattler, who's making his debut.
Antonio Gibson's no slouch.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long-term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last, regardless of whatever they do this week, another week, because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss, as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back into the line. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already passed that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, that's what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or you have to retire, due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another dud, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency, the Pistol Players, the Hustlers, the people that busted, but everybody else in between, including Gamblu. It's 24-10 right now for Northwestern over Maryland. Maryland, we're 10.5-point favorites in this game. The total right now is 41.5. There's 11 minutes left. I got over 45 here. We're a little off the pace. UNLV are murdering Utah State at the half. It's 41-7. at the half for the Running Rebels. In-game total 77.5 to close at 67. We're on the over. And Utah have scored early on Arizona State, 6-0 for the Utes right now, currently minus 9.5, over under 46.5. All right, I did an interview this week. I went on a cool podcast with Nick Kalikas and Yanni, the great gambler, who we used to do shows with here in the old days, and my boy James Lynch, who produces it this week. We talk gambling and how lines have changed over the years, MMA and stuff. So I've actually taken a look at this fight night here card, Lou, and I said my opinion. They asked me, and then they said, you know what, word of no lie, we just said the same thing before you came on. I said, there's some live dogs here, Lou, where there's a lot of fighters who are like, minus 200 favorites that probably shouldn't be, right? Even though the underdogs aren't great in the spot. But like the fights that I liked early, Al Hassan, all 12 of his wins are by knockout. And I think he's going to win the fight. So I think he's going to win at minus 105.
Scratched.
Oh, did it get scratched? That was my best bet that I gave on the show.
Friend missed weight by 3 pounds, was sick, and they pulled the plug on that fight, unfortunately.
All right, there goes that one. I gave Tavares over to go the distance, the Tavares fight. I don't think anyone's getting knocked out in that fight. Yeah, against Park.
Yes. Co-main event there. Those.
Yeah, I'm curious. What's your take on the main event here? I'll just get your picks here. So, what's your take on the main event here? Should this Tyra guy be this big of a favorite against Royval? I kind of like the experience of a veteran here, Lou.
Yeah, I'm really surprised he is. And the line has only grown. It came out and Tyra wasn't quite as big. He came out 350. Tyra comes 350. Immediate action goes down to Royval. Royval was plus 160 Monday. Now the money's come back into the young Japanese fighter, 16-0, 6-0 UFC. Only fought one ranked fighter. To make it short, I'm stunned that Royval is this big of an underdog. He's the number one ranked contender, and he's fought for the title, been in with the elite of the division. And so I smell something funny coming from around the corner. And I am going to use Royval, but I'm going to use him in a parlay for a half a unit because something doesn't seem right here. I hope that I say I wish I bet more on him, but something smells funny in this fight.
It's pretty crazy, right, Lou? It wasn't even plus 225 when I did this interview 2 days ago. And I think it was plus 180 or something. Like it's so up. What about Rodriguez? You're a big underdog better, Lou. So is Morono a live dog here? Because I'm not sure Rodriguez should be this big of a favorite.
Gabriel, I like some dogs on this card, and I like Morono. Diligent, straightforward, but he's not flashy. He's not fast. He's not precise. And in his last fight, Rodriguez got completely jobbed by Gastelum. He goes over to Europe to fight. I think it was in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, he's way overweight. Yeah.
Gastelum comes in and says, not only can I not make 70, I can't make a catch weight of 80. Fight me at 85. And this kid, D-Rod isn't an 85er, and he fought well. So now he's on his bounce, and I think he gets a guy he can handle. UFC might be being nice to him here. I like D-Rod in this spot.
All right, so who else do you like? Any other live dogs? What catches your eye on this card?
Yeah, Chidi Njokuanu, big, huge, long, powerful striker, and he's everybody's nightmare for one round. If you can find a way to show up for round 2 against this guy and convince him you're in here for a long, drawn-out, tough fight in a barroom brawl, he won't want it anymore, and that's exactly what he's going to get in Gooden. So if you're going to take Gooden, you're going to have to fret for 5 minutes to get this fight in the second round. And then if it gets to the second round, every minute it goes beyond, Gooden's confidence will swell and he'll do better and better.
Find more Lou content at gamblu.com. You can follow him on Twitter X at Gamblu as well. Great to catch up with you, Lou. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last, regardless of whatever they do this week, another week because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back after the bye. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already passed that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, that's what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or that you have to retire, due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another day, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Pips, the Players, the Hustlers, the people, the bust them, and everybody else in between. We're waiting on Rob Vino, who's one of the few Dodger fans that's a friend of the program. That's not true, actually. Our boy Johnny Kicknuts is a Dodger fan. Our boy Sniper Picks, there's a few. But as far as like regular guests on the show, our boy Rob Vino is a hardcore Dodger fan. And I like Rob, unlike like Teddy Covers, who's soulless and has no feelings for anything. Rob Vino's still a fan, even at our age right now. Like earlier in the day, he was like, "Yeah, I'm nervous about this game." I told him, "Yeah, me too." We said the same thing. I'm like, man, this game just like it won't get here. Normally, time goes fast for me during the day. Like I'm never bored. Like there's not enough hours in the day. My mind's always racing. But today was just slow. It felt like I was going to court or something. Like I woke up in the morning and I was nervous right away. I was like,
I was going to court. I love that.
Yeah, I felt like I was going to court like all day. And I sort of had like I was uneasy all day.
Yeah.
My heart was sort of yeah, going to court, but not I'm not doing real time, but it's not good. Like I'm about to get sued pretty good or something. Like I'm about to lose. Yeah. It's like
community service.
Yeah. Not like OJ waiting. Not like OJ waiting for the verdict type of thing. But
that's real.
But let's bring in Rob Vino. And like I said, and I say this, and Teddy would get a good laugh out of it, but I said, I love you, Rob, because you're not soulless and empty like Teddy, who has no feelings for any teams at all. There might as well be clones and robots for him. You and I still feel something, Rob, and what a big win for the Dodgers.
Yeah. I felt it, Gabe. Believe me, you have to see me here. And Tatis made that last out, and I'm like, yeah, where's all that ball shaking now and that tongue wagging? I won't say it on the air, but it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, Gabe. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Dude, about 0.2 seconds after the last out, I just yelled into the mic, "Suck it, San Diego."
Yeah.
Rob, I like the irony here. So Profar makes some nice catches, taunts the fans, throws the baseball. That's what happened, right? It wasn't that the Dodger fans started it. They were chirping. He made the catch, and at the end of the inning, he threw the baseball at him sarcastically, like gave him the ball. He didn't like it that the Dodger fans threw it back, but it nearly hit him when they threw it back at him. So then it sort of started that. you got Machado throws a ball at Roberts in the dugout, and there's so much smack talk going on. They said, "Oh, the Dodgers are sensitive. They should, worry about just themselves instead of crying about everything." And these are the same wuss bags, Rob, that banned Ken Rosenthal from their dugout because they didn't like what he said about them. So, like you said, Tatis, they're so cocky. Machado, they talk so much. And, I like San Diego as a city, great city, and I'd like to see them do well, but they're fans, bro, throwing drinks, mocking Kershaw on the screen, not like us and their stupid, cheesy stuff. It's so, like, little brother-ish. I'm so glad we lost and they can shut up for another year.
Go 27 scoreless innings in a row. Go home, please. My favorite, I don't know, Gabe.
People in San Diego right now are just like, I liked Morency until now.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to, where's this guy live? They're going to Vancouver. Where is he? Make a trip.
You were probably on the air with the immediate post game. I don't know if you saw Kike Hernandez. Did you see him?
No, I didn't. I was talking with Terry Bowden. No, what happened?
Ken Rosenthal interviews him after the game, after they just won. And he asked him a question. He goes, "What's so different about this Dodger team? How are you able to, get this done?" And Kike looks at him and he goes, "Are we live on air?" And Rosenthal goes, "Yeah." Hernandez says, "Because we don't give a fuck." And they cut him right off.
I was hoping for a censored version here ourselves.
Amazing.
Didn't see that one coming. I'm like,
yeah,
me neither.
I'm uncensored tonight, Gabe. I'm uncensored.
Poor guys in the booth. Mark it down. 11:06 Eastern time. File the report. Yeah. File the report. Rob Vino's feeling. All right. Like I said, I didn't see that coming. God.
Neither did Rosenthal. Rosenthal was just like, "Oh my God."
No dancing around this one either. That was that.
That was amazing.
So, for the record, the Dodgers open up as minus 178 favorites in this game, in the series against the Mets.
It's big, but it's probably big.
Which feels high.
I don't know.
It does feel a little high. I think the Dodgers are going to win the series, but the Mets are scary. They're a lot like San Diego, the Mets, right? They don't really go away. They got a bunch of hitters. They're both enthusiastic, energetic teams. Like, I see a lot of similarities between the two of them. Now you throw in the travel, and to me, the interesting thing here in this game, in the series, is the 2-3-2 format, right? Like, don't forget, they do this in baseball now, which I'm not a fan of, but they like to save on travel. So there's 2 games in Los Angeles, then 3 games in New York. And then it'd be games 6 and 7 potentially in Los Angeles after. So it's, the first few games of this series are critical. Like, the Los Angeles Dodgers need to get at least a split at home. And then you go to New York, you know what I mean? Like, the first games of this series are massive, guys. Who are you taking, Cam? Who's going to win, the Mets or the Dodgers?
You know me, and I like dogs.
Please don't pull a Kike Hernandez here.
No, I won't do that.
Just who do you like?
Hey, Vito's fired up, man. You guys enjoy your time. And now I got to be honest with you. I had futures on San Diego. I don't like their players. I think they're a bunch of cocky fools, but they're great baseball players. But here's the bottom line. I told you, I take dogs, but I take the Dodgers here. They have a significant bullpen advantage. Training's a monster. Kopech's been great since he's come over to the team. He's got scoreless inning streaks cooking. All their guys, it all lines up. If they get leads, it's kind of like the the Guardians. They make games shorter. At Dodger, bullpen is electric. Way better than the Mets. And the Mets do have Lindor. They got a couple other guys, but Rob's right. The price is there for a reason. It feels like they're trying to attract Mets money. The Dodgers will win. I like the Dodgers.
I've been thinking, and I wanted to go. I was thinking about going to the game on Monday night, game 2. But I told myself before the playoffs started, Rob, that I was going to go to the World Series. Like, I've seen everything at Dodger Stadium. I've been to playoff games. I was at Fernando Valenzuela's no-hitter, right? So if I'm going to spend thousands of dollars and stuff, I was kind of like, all right, they make it to the World Series. Like, that's the one thing on my bucket list was seeing Michigan in the Rose Bowl. And it couldn't have worked out any better. It was a semifinal against Bama. They won. They won the championship the next week. It was like a dream scenario. The last time the Dodgers won, we all know, was the COVID stuff. You couldn't travel, whatever. It was in Texas only. And so it was, It was, it wasn't like a normal series. So that's the one thing, Rob, I've been holding out on. Dodgers World Series, and I already know when it starts. It starts Friday, October the 25th. It's set in stone. So, like, the dates are set in stone. Friday, October the 25th, and Saturday the 26th, games 1 and 2. And the Dodgers will have home field advantage if they beat the Mets against either the Yankees or the whoever in the American League. I got to tell you, Rob, if it's the Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series, that's going to be the most epic stuff ever. And being at that game is going to be over the top. Like, going to one of those games in that series will be legendary.
Yeah, no question, Gabe. And it brings back, for me, 77, 78, 81, those 3 series against the Yankees where the Dodgers couldn't get it done. And then in 81, they did get it done. But it's been a while. They even had that classic championship series against the Mets back in 86, right, where the Dodgers, Mike Socha, remember the ragtag, or 88, the ragtag team that ends up winning the World Series. So
remember Jay Howell? I talked about it the other night. Remember Jay Howell got caught scuffing the ball on the hill.
Yeah. It's but as far as this series goes, you might be better off if you're not interested in laying $1.78 for series, which a lot of people aren't. Trying to pick the number of games. Maybe Dodgers in 6, maybe something like that to get a better price. If you're not comfortable laying $1.78.
I gotta believe it's going to be a longer series. Like, 6 or 7.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long-term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last regardless of whatever they do this week, another week, because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss, as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back after the bye. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already passed that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or that you have to retire. Due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another day, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. We're kicking it with Rob. Rob Vino. I was going to come up with a nickname for Rob. The Hurricane. That's good. Yeah, come on. Rob,
Rob,
something I expect from Tony Finn, Rob. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm ashamed of myself. You're right.
Very disappointing. Come on, Tony. The times I've said that, Tony, you trying to break. What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? What's wrong with you, Tony? But no, of course, And just for the record, yeah, Cam, it's the Guardians. All right, they're the team. The name of the team
No,
is the
I
Guardians.
said Indians and I said Guardians. I know it's.
Well, you don't repeat it again.
Well,
you see, you just did it.
Guardians. They're the damn Guardians. Okay, I know. I was making. They used to be called that team. I was just saying that anyway. Whatever. Detroit, please.
They've been that a long time.
The Commanders.
Commanders.
Yeah, so what? Yeah, that baseball game tomorrow, Rob. I'm not in love with it on either side. I've kind of been wrong, and I'm not in every game in the series. I've been right with the totals, and even though it's 6, I still think it's an under here. You know, I guess I don't know which team. Even though you got Scooble going, I kind of feel like Cleveland will find a way to win. Right? You got Ramirez sort of heating up a little bit, but man, this is a tough game, and you got college football going on at the same time. And to me, and you know, as you know, the world revolves around the Dodgers. So whatever happens here is going to happen. But who are you taking to win?
Well, I really liked Scooble, but the injuries draw me off a little bit, right? Kerry Carpenter, we're not so sure. Jake Rogers, the catcher, we're not so sure. The game had to be moved up 7 hours because of bad weather, from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which kind of toys with the idea of Carpenter being able to get some attention to that hamstring. And he's the guy who won that game 3-0 with the home run when Scooble pitched, right? Yep. So I really wanted to get there, but you need, I don't know, the Dodgers proved tonight you can do it with 2 and good pitching, and maybe they can as well. I kind of talked myself off it right now.
All right, let's get into some football, college football. Interesting card tomorrow. What catches your eye the most, Rob, on the college football card?
Well, let's start with what we like best, Gabe, and that's overs. I tell you one that hasn't gotten a lot of play, and I'm kind of glad because it leaves the key number of 51 available for me to cash. But the Penn State USC game, to me, should be an over. Interesting that James Franklin starts the week by crying about having to fly to LA. Give me a break with James Franklin. But
yeah, what part is he? What part did he not get the memo that USC are in the Big Ten now?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, come on, will you just Franklin just find this out?
It's interesting because I think what I hear a lot from talking to people in the industry is, well, Penn State's offense still isn't any good. They only got 27 against UCLA, 21 against Illinois. But I think what you have to remember in those 2 games is that you got UCLA that's the 123rd slowest paced team out of 134 in college football. And the same with Illinois. Brett Bielema would run a play every 5 minutes if he could. And they just didn't have enough possessions to score. 27-21 is okay. Here it's not going to be that way, right? You see USC's going to wing it around, play with pace. And Penn State's got the weaponry against this USC defense, which, by the way, the last 2 weeks they knew the opponent could only run the football at them, and these guys still ran it for about 6 a pop against the USC defense. So they're better, but they're not great. And Miller Moss and USC, they should have a day game because when you break down that Penn State schedule, the best passing offense they played all season long, Bowling Green. They're 52nd in the nation in passing. Everybody else is 80th or worse. And I'll just run this by you real quick. Maybe I have before, but Ralph Michaels got me this number a couple of weeks ago. Lincoln Riley as a head coach. East Carolina, Oklahoma, USC. Now 51-30 over the total. And if the total is priced less than 58, they're 7-1. Last week was the first time he didn't get over 58. Minnesota 21, 24, 17 or whatever it was. So I like over here. I think there's going to be points.
Great breakdown. Do you think USC, a lot of people think USC are a live dog here. We've seen the teams, as you say, the Franklins complaining about traveling. And USC lost at Minnesota. Washington lost at Rutgers. Michigan lost at Washington. There seems to be a pattern here. The team that travels loses, Rob. Or are Penn State just too good? Is USC's defense not good enough to stop Penn State?
Well, it is crazy so far, Gabe. Big Ten visitors that have had to go through 2 or 3 time zones, they're 2-8 against the spread already, and it's still good weather, and they're not really travel fatigued yet. These teams, remember when we broke down UCLA?
Just wait till it gets nasty.
Yeah. And they've done it like 3 times by then. You know what I mean? They'll be travel fatigued. They'll be weather beaten. So it's interesting that they're already losing games. So I could see the money toward USC here. I think Penn State's a really good team, but I'd rather play total than side here.
Cam, you got a college game you want to ask Rob about?
Yes, Rob. Do you have an opinion on the Washington-Iowa game? I know a lot of people looking at the points. The spread's up to 3. I kind of like Iowa in this game. With these defenses, Rob, how do we get there with the total? But I don't know. Washington traveling to that environment. I know the Hawkeyes haven't been great, but even in the Ohio State game, they moved the ball. They just couldn't execute. And Ferentz, this guy doesn't go for it on 4th and inches. It's a real problem. Like, the guy's got to wake up and start being more aggressive. Anyway, what do you think of that game?
I'll quickly say and throw it to you, Rob, that people don't realize this. The Iowa Hawkeyes are 4-1 to the over this year. But the floor is yours, Rob.
Yeah, and I love the question when Cam was breaking down. He said, how do we get to the over? And when it comes to me and you ask, how do we get to the over? I'll tell you how we get to the over. If you're the Washington Huskies, guys, you've flown to Rutgers. You've come back home to play Michigan. Now you're going to go Central Time Zone to play an early game, 11 a.m. Pacific Time in Iowa City. You can't play three more mirror image-like teams, right? Rutgers, run the ball, play defense. Michigan, run the ball, play defense. Iowa, run the ball, play defense. So they've seen their share of Big Ten football already.
Yeah.
It's the same team with different jerseys, right? It's really crazy. And Washington put up over 500 yards against Rutgers. We know in that game they missed like 3 field goals, turnover on downs on the 2 yard line. They should have actually won that game. And then against Michigan, they put up more yardage. I think they'll do their share.
Yeah, you know what? The total, people are going to look and think, oh, Washington and Iowa, it's going to be an under. But Iowa, like I said, they're 4-1 to the over this year due to the fact that their totals are kind of light and low. I think it's a bad spot for Washington, though, Cam, after beating Michigan. It's like the zigzag theory in the Big Ten this year has been working.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long-term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last regardless of whatever they do this week, another week, because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back after the bye. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already passed that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or you have to retire. Due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another day, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
Boom. All this total talk. We get there. Rob, I don't know about you, but similar situation. We're just talking about Iowa, Cam, and I said, people think about Iowa and the unders. They're actually 4-1 to the over so far this year. And Rob, people don't think overs when you talk Northwestern football, but I got to be honest with you. I thought Maryland would be the ones that would score a little bit more. I didn't think. I'm mad at myself. I didn't take Northwestern plus 10.5. I told Pharrell earlier in the day today. I gave him the over on the show. I said 45 is just too light here. Northwestern give up points. You look at their games, and I said, I don't think Maryland should be this big a favorite, but I didn't think Northwestern to be the ones to win 37-10, but the game gets there, Robin. We're looking pretty good, and in fact, we've gotten there already, guys. UNLV 47, Utah State 21 right now. The total close at 67. It's already over the number. In-game total is currently 91.5. And I didn't bet the total of the Utah-Arizona State game. I only took ASU plus the points, and it's 6-6 right now. And ASU is third in goal. In-game total is the same thing that it closed at, 46.5. So there's still a lot of football left there, Ken. This game could still go over the number, to be honest, especially if they score a touchdown here. But what did you think, Rob? Any action tonight on these overs tonight? I played all 3 overs.
Yeah, and I'll even add to it. I had
excuse me, 2 overs in ASU. Over. My bad. 2 overs in ASU. Excuse me.
I had Harvard and Cornell over 50. That made it there. I had that UNLV game.
Man, I bet the Harvard game last week to the over. I've been betting. It's a good call, Rob. I stayed away.
Amazing.
See, you're hardcore to me. The Dodgers got me rattled. And, oh, by the way, my TV died right before the Dodger game tonight. So that really sort of threw things off for me. It's never I didn't fix it either. It's dead. I got to buy a new TV.
Oh, jeez. I'm watching UNLV tonight because I had the first half total over 34.5 in that game. And their first drive, they go 3 plays, they go touchdown. And this is the 3rd time I've seen Utah State, and I thought that defensively they look little. And then when I'm watching them tonight, they're as undersized as any defense I've ever seen. No wonder they can't stop anybody. No wonder Ashton Genty took the ball and ran 63 yards about every time he touched it last week. I mean, that's a little defense. It's unbelievable.
Rob, before we get you out of here, NFL football, what catches your eye this week in the National Football League?
I think until further notice, I just have to play Colts games overs, Gabe. That defense is horrendous. Trevor Lawrence hadn't done a thing all season long. He shreds that defense last week. But they score, whether it's Richardson or Flacco, and it looks like Josh Downs is going to play now, so they won't lose 2 receivers. And even I think Pittman said he's going to try and play, so maybe they have them all except for Taylor at running back. Colts can score. They give it up, I think, 419 yards a game. So I think Titans, with a week off, probably get their offense right here against the Colts. And that number was only 43. 24-20 in that game just seems too easy.
Well, I like where you're going with that. Let me ask you, we got about 2 minutes. Let me ask you about sort of the somewhat obvious overs here, or are they traps? Arizona, Green Bay, over under 47.5. Washington, Baltimore, it's up to 52 right now in that football game. What do you think about and Detroit and Dallas is also 52.5. Are these games going to be track meets like a lot of people think they are, in your opinion?
Well, the one I talked myself off of, Gabe, was Washington, Baltimore. That 51-52 area is the danger zone, right? Because when the number starts getting that high, now you got to get mid-50s. And if Baltimore runs it and grinds a little clock, it becomes tough to get that number, to get to 53 in that game, no matter how good Jaden Daniels has been. I know the Ravens defense hasn't been good, so I would say that might be a little bit of a trap. If I was going to play one, I'd probably play the Arizona-Green Bay game over. That's the one that's gone the opposite way, too, so that's kind of contrarian. But at 47, it seems like a doable number now. Detroit-Dallas, again, I worry a little bit about the run game because Dallas can't stop it. Detroit will do. Maybe Detroit team total is a good way to go in that one.
And we all know the Pittsburgh Steelers are like 53-22 to the under in the last 10 years on the road. But, man, we got a low total here, guys. 36.5 right now. Aiden O'Connell gets the call. For the record, I like the Steelers in this game, guys. You know, the Raiders, the Steelers are good. I don't think the Steelers are a great team, but I think the Steelers are good at beating teams that they're better than and that they're supposed to beat. I don't think they're better than Dallas. They lost to Dallas, right? They're better than the Raiders. The Raiders are a mess. It's going to be like a home game for the Pittsburgh Steelers here. I think the Steelers get it done here, Rob.
And if you use Denver as a comp to the Steelers offensively, Gabe, right? Denver's no better. They're probably the same as the Steelers. And they scored 34 on the Raiders last week. So I would be with you there. The Steelers probably the right side. A little bit of bounce back. I was surprised they couldn't move the ball on the ground against Dallas. That's one drawback.
Rob Vino, wagertalk.com.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last, regardless of whatever they do this week, another week, because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss, as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back after the bye. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already passed that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, that's what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or you have to retire, due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another cut, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Thanks to Rob Toxic Vino for joining us on the program tonight. We got Tony Finn. Although we'll see, Tony Finn is supposed to be with us right now. So we'll see when Tony steps up and in.
Adventure
thing,
time.
I usually tell Tony earlier, right? If you meet anybody, if you're meeting Tony Finn, tell him you're meeting him like an hour earlier than you really are if you don't want to sit around for a while.
Good call.
So, normally I'll stunt him for like 10 minutes on the show or something. I'll tell him, but I actually meant it tonight. He seems to have his feelings hurt, like quick segments at the end. Like last week, thanks for having me on for 5 minutes again. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, Tony. This week, Tony's a big baseball guy. So it's like, all right, let me make sure I'm going to get an extra segment in for Tony. Plus, we were shaking things up on Friday nights. So we'll see when Tony Finn steps up and in. And, we'll get his thoughts on the Major League Baseball playoffs. So, as we were, Arizona State have just scored. Arizona State, boom, we're on ASU plus the points. 13-6 Arizona State over the Utes right now. 8 minutes left in the second quarter. In-game total is currently 49.5. So, let's get the updated futures right now for Major League Baseball. World Series numbers. We gave you the price for the Dodgers and the Mets. The Dodgers open up as minus 178 favorites. The Mets are plus 148 right now, but the World Series odds have really flipped, and the Dodgers were plus 200 coming into tonight, and the Yankees were the favorites. The Dodgers have suddenly flipped to plus 155, which is not a great price for the Dodgers. Yep. Like the Dodgers are plus 155 to win the World Series right now. Yankees are plus 170. The New York Mets are plus 420. Detroit Tigers are 10-1, and the Guardians are 11-1. Thing is, Cam, you got the Dodgers at plus 155. They've got to beat the New York Mets and then probably the New York Yankees. That's not an easy task for plus 155, but it goes to show the Dodgers, look, they're minus 178 favorites against the Mets, and they'd probably be like minus 125, 130 favorites against the Yankees.
Yeah. It's a great call, Gabe, but I'm going to say this, too. You're getting Detroit at 10-1 and the Guardians 11. The Yankees are plus 165. I get it.
I think the Guardians camera the play at 11-1.
They're
it's a little stab in the dark.
Yeah, well, they're a little bit better, but it doesn't even matter who you take because the Dodgers will not, like in a hedge situation, say it's LA Dodgers versus either Detroit or Cleveland, you can get out of it because the Dodgers, even if they're minus 380 or whatever in the damn World Series, you got a 10 or an 11-1 in your back pocket. I got to be honest with you. The Yankees at plus 165 to me is disrespectful to the Tigers and Guardians. They shouldn't be plus 165. No way.
Nobody thinks much of the American League Central. I see the New York bias has already started with the sports books here. I see a prop, Mets and Yankees versus the field. It's minus 110. Minus 110. They got exact results up, but this is one thing, and I was going to tweet it. I didn't fully get it out, actually. I sort of veered off and started talking about a Dodger-Yankee series, but I will say this, and I believe Tony Finn is ready to step up. And then, Tony, are you with us? How you doing tonight?
Good, guys. How are you doing?
Good.
All right. Oh, I'm doing great, Tony. The LA Dodgers won, so tell your boy, the commish, to shove it. Tell him that Dave Roberts is still the manager. Dave Roberts is still the manager of this team. And I think you owe Dave Roberts an apology, to be honest. But, I'm just being real. Nobody's been more critical. That was a great managerial job that he did in this series.
Okay. If you say so. And I'm quite certain.
What do you mean if I say so? The guy, they pitched eight different pitchers, Tony.
Yeah, I figured that was the easiest way for us to move on from Dave Roberts because we don't have near enough time to talk. No, listen, Dave Roberts, you and I have discussed this.
No, you're just wrong.
We've discussed.
You're just wrong. What do you mean? What do you do?
Okay.
Dude, Freddie Freeman is scratched hours before the game. He's got to figure out, all right, we're going to play Chris Taylor here. We're going to play Kiki here. He pushed every right button with the bullpen in the last two games. I wouldn't say the jury's still out. He just did, that was his best managerial work as with the Dodgers. Although it's a collective, right? Obviously, there's an analytic department that comes into this. I would have left Yamamoto in tonight, personally. I mean, the guy gave up 2 hits. It was, 5 innings. He's cruising, but they had the decision locked in. But, I don't see how, Tony, you can't say that he did a great job managing in this series. And he outmanaged San Diego's manager by a mile.
My beef with Dave Roberts is 100-fold and 100 different reasons and 100 different days and 100 different situations.
No, it's because you lose a bet. It has nothing to do with what I mean. Like Dave Roberts, 100 different things.
No, that's not true. Listen,
he wins 100-plus games every year. No, but he wins 100-plus games every year. So what's your big beef?
Not this year. Not this
year. Not this year. Yeah, they also had 18 different starting pitchers this year, Tony.
No, he did. He did a great job in the final 2 games. That's fact. He did a very good job in the final 2 games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think anybody who thought Giacomo should have stayed in doesn't understand how San Diego's hit this kid. And I say kid because he is a kid, but he's been through the lineup twice.
Well, I thought it was a great move.
He's a kid. Older kid. Yes.
I was 30-something before he was born, so that makes him a kid. So there you go. I think that was a great move there. Without question, I don't trust Giacomo, and I don't trust anybody who's pitching for the Dodgers right now. Not a soul, not even Flaherty. I've told you many times.
Well, Tony, you don't. I love you, Tony, but you don't trust any of the Dodger pitchers. They just held San Diego scoreless for 22 straight innings, Tony.
Yeah. I shot.
But you don't trust their pitchers.
Par. I shot a 1 under par once. And
I
just
don't
because
believe you.
Well, I did, but that's all right.
I don't know what it has to do with it. So you shot under par once.
That's the only time. It's the only time I've ever shot under par. The only time ever. Okay?
Yeah.
And just because, I'll tell you what doesn't have to do with anything, and that is just because the pitchers beat San Diego, best of 5, they win 3 games, Dave Roberts did a good job. It doesn't mean I trust them just because what they did today. That's just recency bias, and I refuse to fall into that folder. You know that. So
you're taking the Mets. So who did you take in this series to win, San Diego or LA?
I didn't bet the series price at all, but you know why I stayed away from today's game? I stayed away from it because I'm rooting for the Dodgers. And I don't think that I would have played San Diego anyway. I may have, but I didn't. I didn't play anything in the game, not a single penny, not a dime, didn't even think about an in-game live position. at all. I'm glad the Dodgers won. I think the Dodgers are good for baseball, and I want them to win.
Do you trust them against the Mets? Who are you taking to win that series?
Yeah, I trust everybody against the Mets. You know how much I like the Mets too. I trust everybody against the Mets. What the Mets are doing is again, this time of year when you get hot and you can't do anything wrong. Lindor's having a great, postseason. He had a great last month of the season. It's hard. It's hard to go against the Mets right now and feel comfortable. But I don't trust the Mets. I trust the Dodgers 10 times as much as I trust the Mets. And I just said I don't trust the Dodgers. So what's that tell you?
You don't trust
Not
anybody.
much. We kind of just spun our wheels for 10 minutes, to be honest.
Well, I mean,
Who do you trust?
I can sit here. I can sit here and butter everybody's bread if you want me to. And tell
I'm
you
not
how
looking
much
for
I
a
love Dave
babysitter
Roberts.
or somebody to pet sit my cats here, Tony. It's a baseball game, right? It's not about trust. It's a baseball game. You know what I mean? Trust only goes so far with this. So you're going to sit out the baseball playoffs because you don't trust anybody?
Maybe. Trust has a lot to do with my handicapping style.
Not even close.
Trust has a lot to do with it.
That's why the line is what it is. The Dodgers bullpen, they figured it out, Gabe, and it's huge. They got a deeper hitting lineup. Sure, they got Lindor and they got Alonso, but the Dodgers up and down the lineup. Freeman's going to be healthier. The line's there for a reason. The Dodgers are better than the Mets, simply put.
100 times better. 100 times better than the Mets.
They're not 100 times.
They're 100 times better.
And
They're 2 times better. That's why they're minus 187 or whatever the hell it is.
It's all about who's hot at the right time, and the Mets are smoking hot right now.
They are.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last regardless of whatever they do this week, another week, because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back after the bye. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already passed that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or that you have to retire. Due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another dud, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. And I said earlier, all right, we're going to get an extra segment in with Tony, and now I'm kind of regretting it because that last segment really wasn't very good.
Be nice to Tony.
I'm just saying.
He's beaten down here.
I'm not going to
He's not betting the games. Doesn't trust anybody. He shot par once. All right, like okay,
under par.
Under.
It was one under par, Gabe. Come on now.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the reason. That was great.
So what about the Cleveland and Detroit game tomorrow, Tony? Who do you like in this game? I'm not asking you who you trust and who you want to date. Who do you like?
Mm-hmm. I want to date Scooble. I trust Scooble. No, honestly, it's tough to play against Scooble. The way he's pitching, Detroit's an inconsistent offense. They've gotten hot. No team was hotter than they were the last month and a half of the season, Gabe. They're hotter than and better than anybody in baseball if you're going by record alone. But they're not a very good team. Honestly, they're the Kansas City Royals. Royals was 106 last year. Cleveland's a better team, but Cleveland, they go into a slumber offensively sometimes. It's hard to be against Detroit tomorrow. I'm against Scooble tomorrow because I like the price and I like Cleveland as a whole better than I like the Detroit Tigers.
Cam, what's your pick for Cleveland and Detroit?
I like Detroit. Tony brings up good points. Other than Ramirez, though, nobody in that Cleveland lineup really scares me. Detroit still has, they do have power outages, superior pitching advantage. Cleveland has a much better bullpen. The fact that he even got a home run off Class A is crazy, but I will take the Detroit Tigers, and I have futures on the Tigers. And, hey, if they get a lead in the game, I'll look to hedge, but I like the Detroit Tigers to get it done.
I think Scooble is awesome, but at the same point in time, it's tough when you go back to the same guy all the time and you want him to carry you every time. And if you recall in the last game that Scooble pitched, Tony, that Cleveland got on a lot. Like he got in a lot of trouble and he kept on getting out of the jams. I kind of get the feeling all it takes, look, it's like tonight. All it takes is the home team. You score that early run, you get an early, one home run, boom. Look, Darvish was awesome tonight. Right? Darvish was awesome. He got hit for, Kiki Hernandez catches him. The next thing it's 1-0. That's the difference of the game until the eighth inning. But I kind of get the feeling that Scooble can only do so much. And Detroit, too, do have question marks as we talked about their lineup tomorrow, right? With Carpenter and Rogers, short rest coming in here, early start game tomorrow. It's going to be bad weather tomorrow as well, right? That's why they move the game up in the Cleveland area. So, listen, it's far from a lock, man. Anything can happen in this game. Every lock has a key, but my gut, I'll go with Cleveland. I'll go with Cleveland any under, like 1 or 2-0 like tonight. I think it'll be a low. Watch this game end up being like 8-6, 8-7. The opposite of what everyone thinks, but I say it's a super low scoring game tomorrow. All right, Tony, so who's going to win the World Series? Since you don't trust anyone. So if you don't trust the Dodgers, you don't trust the Mets. So what, the Yankees are winning the World Series? Who's winning the World Series, Finn?
You're unbelievable, Gabe. When I just don't want to ever have a grudge. Morency he keeps on digging and digging, hey, Tony?
I'm going back to it now. Yeah.
He stabbed you once, and you're lying there going,
we're going to move to football.
But
I want him to be on record with something.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Instead of just everybody sucks. So be on record.
I'll be on record right now of saying that the victory by Yakima and the Dodgers, and the fact that teams I really liked, Philadelphia, Baltimore, all those teams, and I know that's not the National League necessary. The Dodgers win the World Series. At this point in time, if the bullpen pitches the way they've pitched, and Dave Roberts is on the phone and listening to the front office, and the sabermetrics guys, I love the Dodgers. How's that?
I will say this, that I think a good bet, and I was about to tweet it out earlier, is that the National League will win the World Series.
Exactly.
Yes.
If the Mets even found a way to win, they're better than the Yankees, in my opinion. They're better than Cleveland and Detroit. Both teams in the National League are better, in my opinion.
The thing is, though, it was sort of like, it was San Diego. I thought that if it would have been like you got L.A. and or San Diego, would almost be a better option. Because, the Dodgers or Mets going to knock each other out, but I personally think the Dodgers would beat the Yankees in the World Series.
Damn right.
I think the Dodgers would beat them. I think the Mets and Yankees would be a toss-up, right? It would just be like anything could happen. It would be a crazy 7-game series. Anything could happen.
Would you not take the Mets? They'd probably be slight dogs, and I would take them. I think the Mets are better than the Yankees. I really do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So now, Cam, you can get the National League at -115, and you're getting the Dodgers and Mets versus
Great.
basically the Yankees, Guardians, or Tigers.
That's
And we
actually an
know
exceptional bet.
that the Dodgers will be favorites. Man, it's going to be crazy stuff. But I'm not dismissing the Mets, guys. Like, I'm not overlooking them. I'm not dumb. Like, the Mets are going to be dangerous. It's going to be tough Sunday night. It's going to be such a big game, man, to get started. And that 2-3-2 format, too, guys, is really a little bit of a curveball here, right? 2 games in L.A., 3 games in New York, and then potentially Game 6 and Game 7 back in L.A. After the fact. Yes. All right, Tony, we've only got a minute and a half left here. So what about football, buddy? College football. You like anything this week? You trust anybody on the college football gridiron? Or NFL?
Again, trust.
I do. I do trust some. Listen, I really like, and let's go square. Let's be square and let's go big time football. Texas. I like the Longhorns in this situation. I don't trust Oklahoma's young quarterback, and I
agree with you. I don't trust him either.
And I trust the Texas Longhorns defense to get this kid. Let's go. I'll go as far as not only Texas cover, but I like a prop. I like Hawkins Jr. or Hawkins Sr., both of them, either one of them, to go under 175, 176 passing yards in this game too as well.
The Oklahoma quarterback under.
Yes.
Tony Finn, wagertalk.com. Fun stuff, Tony.
Yep.
Thank you.
You know what? You upset me with your Dodgers analysis, but you still did better than Rob Vino did tonight on the show.
Well, then, I can't believe that. No one ever does better than Rob Vino.
Vino came out hot. Real hot.
You had better language than he did. I don't want to tempt you on the way out. Kill Tony's mic.
All right, everybody, it's time to make some deals here. George Kurtz and I have some buy lows and sell highs. Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins, along with Tyreek Hill, you can put both these guys in the same bucket. They might have another down week here. If they do, you've got the bye and then another week to wait until you get to a Tagovailoa. I'm thinking long-term here. If I am a team right now that's sitting at 4-0, 3-1, and I get another win this week, to me, that's the perfect time to start looking ahead to the future and looking ahead specifically to those Dolphins wide receivers, because I do believe once Tua comes back, that those guys can go right back to being top fantasy performers. This is the window. It'll probably last regardless of whatever they do this week, another week, because of the looming bye, where people can't then start them in the frustration of that setting in, and maybe even the desperation of loss after loss as guys like Waddle and Hill are not returning their investment. So I'm buying both of these guys. Are you buying either Miami Dolphin wideout?
Now, this depends on what you believe in. Joe obviously believes that Tua is coming back after the bye. So do I. All right, but keep that in mind. There's been no word that this is definitive. All right, he's out of concussion protocol, so he's already past that. He is talking to a million neurologists. Smart, that's what he should be doing here. But from what we've heard, no one's told him, no doctor's told him you should retire, or you have to retire. Due to these concussions. So I think Tua does return. I do. So yes, I would be willing to acquire. This is where you look at the pounds. All right, if you want Hill or Waddle, you're praying today's another dud, and then they have off next week. And you look at the record. Oh, you're 1-4. You can't wait. You can make a good deal here. All right, especially if you're a team that's 4-1, 5-0, whatever it might be.
All right, so I'm going to be on Sunday night at 8 o'clock for the Dodgers and Mets game and the New York Giants and Cincinnati Bengals. It's the New York two-step. So get ready. As I stated, there's already too much New York bias on this network to begin with. And now And now it's going to be constant. Oh, the Yankees and the Mets between the hosts, and the Knicks are the greatest thing ever. And Cat's better than Dirk Nowitzki, and you know what I mean? And, God, yeah, like
that
everyone's
was my
great.
favorite.
Yeah, like
Dirk Nowitzki, like what? Come on, that was the best.
I'm just saying, So there's going to be a lot of New York bias. We'll have to balance it with some West Coast action, but we'll be on Sunday night 8:00 like we are for every primetime game on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. Mondays and Thursdays on SportsGrid On Demand on YouTube, and always on SiriusXM channel 159. Just quickly, as far as the Dodgers and the Mets are concerned, I'm not disrespecting the Mets. I think they're a dangerous team. Everybody's dangerous at this time of the year. San Diego are lethal. I compare San Diego and the Mets a lot. But to be honest, I was going to take San Diego against the Mets if they played each other. So I think the Dodgers are going to beat them. I'll say the Dodgers win the series and beat the Mets 4-2. 4-2. Dodgers, I say, in 6. It's plus 390. Dodgers in 7 is also plus 390. Dodgers in 5 is 5-1. Dodgers sweep is plus 850. Mets in 7 is plus 650. Mets in 6 is 6-1. Mets in 5, 750. Mets sweep is 22-1. Give me the Cleveland Guardians to win the baseball game in the under 6 tomorrow in the American League. Let's bang off some college football picks for people. I don't have a ton of picks. I'll have more tomorrow. It's sort of like there's a bunch of big games and there's a lot of really sort of strange games. But I do like Iowa, Washington after their big win against Michigan, now flying across the country. And Iowa, I don't think it's a healthy spot for them. Give me the Iowa Hawkeyes, but I don't trust Iowa laying 3. This game's going to be close. So give me the minus 160 on the money line.
A lot of trust talk tonight. I don't trust you.
Yeah, I know.
Trust.
Yeah,
trust
sure. I don't trust it either.
It's like Pee Wee's Playhouse, like trust in the balloons. Hey, trust, the magic word. It's amazing.
Alabama lost last week to Vandy. They're going to be. I'm not ready to lay 21.5 with them against South Carolina, but look for Alabama not to take the pedal off the metal and the game to go over the 50.5 there. Pittsburgh Panthers. No one's talking about this football team. They're 5-0. This is a terrible spot for Cal, coming off the emotional win late Saturday, emotional loss to Miami late Saturday night, going into Pittsburgh here, a 5-0 Panther team. Give me the Pittsburgh Panthers to win this football game. Lay the 3.5 if you want there. Penn State, USC, I agree with Vino. Let's go over 51. Give me the USC Trojans plus the 3.5 in that game. I think Texas, sorry, Sooner Lisa, we love you, but I think the Longhorns are going to roll them tomorrow. I think Texas are that good this year. Texas minus the points, over 48.5 in that football game. The Ohio State-Oregon game, I've been kind of dodging a bullet and scared all week of it. Give me the Ducks plus 3. I hate the Buckeyes. give me the Ducks plus 3. I do like LSU plus 3.5 at home against Mississippi. I like the over 62 in that football game. And look for Ashton Genty tomorrow night to rush for over 184 yards, have like 3 touchdowns against Hawaii. Let's lay the 20.5 with Boise State. And, not a lot of people are, here's 2 other late ones here for me. Give me the UCLA Bruins plus 4 against Minnesota, Cam. Now Minnesota beat USC. They're going to think they're good. They're going to L.A. UCLA have been playing hard. They played a tough schedule. They deserve better.
Penn State really tough. Like people don't understand.
They cover
that
every
game.
week.
Yes.
They're 4-1 against the spread.
Damn
UCLA.
Right,
they lose, but they hang around.
We were doing the show, and they were like, their defense stepped up against Penn State. Not a lot of respect for the Bruins. I kind of agree with you there. They do.
They're talent challenged, but they play hard.
Agreed.
But I think getting the plus 4, they're live against Minnesota here. And I've been on the Colorado bandwagon. No one really has been. And I caught on, like, basically in week 2. This team, like, maybe you don't like Dion, you don't like this. There's a lot of flash not to like about these guys, but they're playing good football right now. And this is going to be a crazy madhouse. Dude, they're 4-1. They're on the verge of, like, being in a mix for real of the Big 12 championship and stuff. I don't think K-State are great. I think they're okay. We'll see. K-State are coming off, they're disappointing loss, so, they're going to have some spite here. But I'm going to take the Buffaloes plus 3.5. Catch Cam tomorrow at noon Eastern time right here on the grid. And you got a best bet, Cam, 10 seconds on the way out.
I like the Iowa Hawkeyes to beat Washington by double digits.
All right, great job by the Dodgers tonight. Tony Finn doesn't know what he's talking about. Other than that, you're on your own.